Hello and welcome once again to the Thrifty Collector. Got some great returns back from some private signings. Got my Ric Flair cards back, and I'm going to go ahead and start with those. Was pretty excited about this. One of the weird things is, and I'll get into that, but I actually got this Ric Flair card a few years ago. And if you notice, it's got a little bit of stain on the top, on the bottom there, like there was some kind of tape on it, and it kind of bled into it. But I couldn't pass up the deal. This was about a good year ago. It was about $90, but I also got about 15 other of the Group A's and B's, and some real good names. Got the Ted DiBiase. I know I got a Jake Roberts. The Flair was the only one that had the tape residue. So there's no tape on it. It just has kind of that brown residue. But I went ahead and got this done by IB Exclusives. He did three of my Flair cards. He's done a lot for me. Does a great job. And Ric Flair now, what was it? It was $75, I believe, for the Flairs to get signed. Just about 2 years ago, I paid $25 to get the 1985 Wrestling All-Star card signed. So it kind of tells you that these guys, him and Hogan, I heard Hogan's nothing less than $100. Or maybe I'd paid $100 for the Flair. I might have, but they keep going up and up and up with these guys. But eventually, the demand's going to go down because a lot of people aren't going to have some scrub card signed for $100. But the one thing that's missing off of this is the 16 times. Flair pretty much so we signed everything with 16 times. It was pretty much a given that that was going to happen as an inscription. And when I called the promoter that did this promotion, he said that they wanted, I believe, $40 or $50 per inscription. So I'm sure it was kind of Flair who's been signing the 16 times for years and years to stop so that they could charge the extra money for it. Pretty sad if you really kind of think about it. I don't think it's Flair though. I'm sure it's his handler or whoever's representing him now is just trying to squeeze every dollar out of his signings. But fantastic card to have signed either way. You can't even touch if you can find these cars raw and they're real. They're probably around I believe about $300 raw. So just happy to have it signed. I'll get it slabbed. This is definitely one of them that's worth getting done. The other ones that I got were the Carnation cards, and I had one. This one's a little scruffy. You might say, well, why would you bother getting Carnation card? These are actually very rare. They're from 1987. They had Ric Flair, Sergeant Slaughter, the Road Warriors, the Kolovs, Rick Martel, Kamala, who I have about 3 of those signed by him, and Sergeant Slaughter, who I have coming back right now. And I believe that might be it. But this one's just a great one with Flair holding the NWA title up next to him. So obviously Rick won again that night. So if you ever see any of these and you can at a yard sale or what have you, pick them up. Even if you're paying $5, $10, $20 each for them, they're real good and they're getting very highly sought after. And then my other one is actually in better condition. This one, this is the one that I'll definitely get slabbed. This Ric Flair. So as you can tell, and then on the back kind of has a little description about everything, and it advertises for a Carnation wrestling calendar. And for about 3 years, I've had that on my eBay search, and one has never come up. So I don't know if they ever produced it or didn't produce it. But if anybody's ever seen one, let me know. Shoot me an email or something like that, because I'd really like to see the wrestling calendar by Carnation. I know the Wrestling All-Stars, they put out a calendar, and every month it had 2 different wrestlers on each side. And one of these days I'll probably bring it out and let everybody see January through December. Had some real interesting names, and it had Tommy Rich and I believe it was Davy Rich who was supposed to be his cousin. There was Davy Rich and one other Rich, but they were all supposed to be cousins, kayfabe. I've met both of them, but yeah, check it out if you ever get one of these. They're great cards. There's not many of these out, and autographs look fantastic on it. Next card I got through the mail, and I was pretty excited. If you've ever seen the Trancers movies, they made 5 of them. The fifth one was absolutely horrible. 3 and 4 were horrible. Or no, sorry, 4 and 5 were horrible. 6 was absolutely one of it was a low budget garbage. But the first 3 were real good. And the first 3 had Helen Hunt in it. And when she did the first one, she was still kind of a nobody, but she had already gained fame by the time the second and third one came out. And she actually even came back for those. I don't know if she had in her contract, or she was just trying to do the producer a favor. But she was in those. And then they actually had one called 1.5, which was about a 20-minute movie from the Pulse Pounder series. And she was also actually in that. And that I don't think was ever even released till the Trancers Blu-ray came out. But the main actor in those movies is Tim Thomerson. This is his Xena card. If you've never seen Tim Thomerson in a movie, he's been in a lot of mainstream movies, but he also has done a lot for the Full Moon movies. He's done he did the first 5 Trancers movies. He did Doll Man, and then he did Doll Man versus the Dangerous Toys. I can't remember, it's off the top of my head right now. But so he's done quite a few with them. He actually started off as a comedian and was in the Army National Guard. If anybody remembers Byron James, who died fairly young with a heart attack, he was the guy in Blade Runner. Blade Runner. He was the guy that said, "We're more human than human." That's where he kind of got his claim to fame. Where, well, from what I read, they were both real good friends and did a couple movies together. And also read that they were in the National Guard during Vietnam together. But he was actually very funny. I remember him in the early 80s on TV. I don't know if it was Carson or Late Night, but he was real funny. And then he got into the Full Moon features. So I think I picked this up for $12. So I was real happy to have it because, like I said, the first 3 Transfer movies are fantastic. And then last, I just wanted to also talk about Andrew Moscow, who he was a great Notre Dame player, and then he went up to the CFL, and with I believe Hamilton he was with. He actually won a couple Grey Cups, but he was the one that made that vicious hit on Joe Cap in one of the games. And if anybody's ever seen it, it's quite famous. Cap was in a wheelchair, I believe, and Moscow was in the wheelchair. Cap went up to give him like a flower, kind of like, "Hey, look, that was 50 years ago." And Moscow actually hit him with the canes. It was 2 old men trying to fight each other with one in a wheelchair. I don't know. Maybe it was designed by Angelo because obviously he had the wrestling background. And but they sold the cane. It was for retired Canadian football players. I think they sold it for about $2,000, I believe, and that might even have been U.S. dollars. So, but he tragically, sadly, passed away about less than a week ago. I had written him quite a few times in Canada, and his wife one time wrote me a full-page letter back, and she actually referred to him as Ange, A-N-G. But when I was writing him, he had just started to get some Alzheimer's. So I guess that's probably what finally caught up to him. But King Kong Moscow was a great wrestler. I believe he wrestled all over. So he had a great college football career, great Canadian football career, and ended up being a well-known wrestler for the rest of his career as an athlete. So check out Angelo. Check out the Transfer movies. They are on Blu-ray. You got to remember it's late 1980s, early 90s. effects. There's no CGI. So you got to kind of look at it in that perspective, and that they are older movies, but they were really good back then. So going to a card show in Spanish Fort, Alabama, in the beginning of the first Saturday of December. I've got some Sergeant Slaughter cards coming back. I've got some Ken Patera cards coming back from private signing, so those are going to be interesting to see. So we're going to check them out. And everybody have a wonderful night. Have a great Sunday. And as always, stay thrifty.